What's up everyone, this is Scratch and I've got a video review for you today of the Adventures of Pip for Xbox One. Just so you know, this did come out earlier for the PlayStation 4, the iOS, the Wii U, PC, Mac. You can play it anywhere, basically. But I'm reviewing it for the Xbox One version, so I figured I would just take a couple of minutes and kind of show you guys what I think of it, show you some gameplay, and you can decide for yourself if this is something that you would like to try, pass, or buy. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we'll get started with the story. So basically, you are this single character, this pixel, this red pixel here you see bouncing around, and that is your character. That's who you are in the world or whatever. And then what happens is this evil queen comes and she de-reses everything. She's trying to take over the world. She tries to take over the king and the queen. She turns them into a single pixel, and everything gets kind of de-resed down to nothing. That's her plan anyways. She kidnaps the princess, and of course Pip is the chosen hero, and then of course he's going to go after her and save the day, hopefully. Or that's the intention. The difference here is the storyline and the gameplay are very, very much married to each other. It's a really, really cool way to tell the story and then also incorporate the gameplay into it, because while the queen is de-resing everything, your special powers are that you are able to up-res yourself, I guess. I don't know what you would call that, but basically you can evolve into a higher level character. So each of these characters that you evolve into, you have your single red pixel here. That's your lowest form. That's your natural form. And as you progress through the game and unlock the other abilities, you'll get the ability to evolve into an 8-bit character, and then the ability to evolve into a 16-bit character, which is actually really cool. And that's really going to kind of dictate the platforming for you, because the single pixel can actually jump higher. It has like a glide ability, so it can get across larger gaps where the other characters can't. The 8-bit character, when you evolve into him, he can wall jump, which is a huge advantage. You can wall jump all the way up to the top, bottom, wherever you got to go. So that definitely helps. And then also you have the 16-bit character, who is he's a little bit bigger, a little bit more clunkier, a little bit slower, but he's also unaffected by environmental things such as wind, or the bouncing mushrooms that you can bounce on. He won't bounce on them, he'll walk on them, which, sometimes you need to be the largest character to get through an area, so you don't want to bounce on something. If it's going to bounce you up into the spikes, then you would take the larger character through that section of the level, because he wouldn't bounce and you could safely walk underneath him. So that's basically kind of where we're going with the gameplay here. It's actually a really ingenious thing. It's so much fun to play this way. You have the ability to devolve anytime you want to, but you can only evolve into the next highest character by jumping on these special white, bluish, glowing characters here. And they're strategically placed throughout the world so that you don't end up in a situation where you fall down into a pit and you need to wall jump to get out, but you can't because you've changed into someone else. They've taken great care to not run into those situations. I did run into 2 instances where I did become stuck, but it was only just a matter of a reset, and then the next time when I tried to recreate it to get stuck, it didn't work, so I couldn't recreate it, so I wasn't sure what really happened there. So most of the time you should be okay about getting stuck, and I can imagine it's a really difficult gameplay design to work with, because if you're only allowing wall jumps or certain abilities, and then your level design has to be impeccable. And this level design is in fact just that. It is impeccable. Like I said, I only ran into 2 instances where I became stuck, and that was only because I think one of the enemies didn't load, or I didn't wait for it to load, and I was playing early on in the game. The enemies do come back, so you can always use them again if you need to evolve or devolve. So with that said, we have 5 different worlds. We're going to start off here in the forest world, and then you move up all the way into the swamp, and then the caves, and then the lava, and then you're all the way up to Queen Derezia's castle. So in each of the levels, there's 8 levels in each world. So the forest has 8 levels, the caves and the lava, they all have 8 levels, the swamp. The only one that doesn't is Queen Derezia's castle, and she has 4. So once you get to the very end, you only need to go through the last 4 levels, and then you'll fight the queen and save the day. Spoilers. But basically, each level consists of 3 objectives, or 4 objectives. The first objective is to just get from one end to the other. The second, third, and fourth objective would be to collect each of the villagers that are trapped in the world. They're hidden somewhere, and all you have to do is just kind of run through them to collect them. In the opening parts of the game, you'll actually unlock the merchant, and you'll unlock the weaponsmith later on as you go. And the merchant and weaponsmith will have different power-ups and upgrades that you can use. For example, there's one that will attract pixels to you, which pixels are the game's treasure, and the treasure is used to buy these things. So you can have like a magnet one, and you can have Pip gains an ability that only the 3rd evolution has, but you can buy it for the 2nd evolution character, which makes the later stages of the game a little bit easier, and some stuff like that. So you can kind of buy these, and then the merchant, he has stuff that'll help you find out where the hidden villagers are. You'll be alerted. So if you're having trouble with them or whatever, you can go and buy one of those. If you don't want to buy one of those, however, I do have a 100% walkthrough of all of the levels on the YouTube channel here. You can just find it, link to that also in the description if you want to check that out and get through it. So that's pretty much it for the story and the gameplay and that sort of stuff. I'll get into the achievements a little bit real quick. Basically, the achievements are going to be for completing all the levels and then getting a perfect on the level. So what getting a perfect means is that you found all 3 of the villagers. So basically, that's what's going to happen with my 100% walkthrough, is you're going to find all the villagers there. And then getting, of course, all the way to the end and buying everything that the merchant has, buying everything that the weaponsmith has, and collecting 11,240 pixels. And that's pretty much all of the achievements in a nutshell. Shouldn't be too hard to get them, shouldn't take you too long, and like I said, you can look up a guide, or some of those power-ups will really help you with some of the parts that you can't get if you can't find, if you can't find all the villagers or whatever. So it shouldn't be too hard. It's a pretty easy 1,000. Probably take you about 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much you do. My recommendation would be to just play, enjoy the game, look for as many as you can, and then just get to the end. And then when you get to the end, you can obviously, you'll have a save game right before the final boss or whatever, and you can just load up and go back through and collect everything that you've missed. So that's really nice that you can just kind of mop up everything after you're done without having to worry about anything being missable or anything like that. So as for the game itself, I really enjoyed it. I first played it at PAX East 2015. We found it. We had a list of developers that we were going to find and talk to and learn about their game and stuff like that. And Adventures of Pip was one of them, so I got that one. So we went there, and I was able to talk with the developers. They were super cool about showing me the game and explaining what was going on. And from the moment they talked about the res and the de-res, that game mechanic is what sticks in my mind as being the most impressionable thing for me. Aside from, I'm a fan of the throwback, classic graphics, that sort of thing. But aside from that, this was like a brand new thing that I'd never played before in terms of a single character. I guess you've probably played some of it like in like South Park Tenderman's Revenge, where you could play through the levels with different characters and access different places or whatever. So that's kind of like what this is like, but at the same time, this can all be done in one playthrough. You just have to know when to evolve and devolve and that sort of thing, and I just really enjoyed that. The platforming is super tight. It's probably one of the better platformers that I've played on the system. in terms of responsiveness and control, especially when you de-res all the way down into the single pixel and you can just kind of float across the top, and just, you know, every little movement you make to adjust where they are on the screen and stuff, you can get really precise with a little bit of practice. So with that being said, this is definitely a game for speedrunners. If you are a speedrunner, I would definitely encourage you to tackle this game, because I think there's a finite amount of possibilities that you could do it to be the fastest. There wouldn't really be too many variables, but in terms of options of routes that you can take, or when you should purchase things, or whether you should purchase them or not, or any of that sort of stuff, all kind of remains to be seen. But I definitely think that you could do this game some justice by giving it a couple of speed runs, and it would definitely challenge it because of that. Like I said, keep going back to that gameplay mechanic, but definitely worth checking out. I encourage all of you guys to check this game out. I think it's a real winner. It's a lot of fun. If you're into 2D platformers, then you definitely don't want to miss this one. I would give this game a 9 out of 10. And for no particular reason other than 10 out of 10 I feel should be like impossible, but 9's pretty damn good. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. And if you want to see more video reviews, please leave me a comment. I do think that they offer a little bit more value than just my written reviews, because at least this way you can actually see what I'm talking about and follow along with that. So without further ado, I'm going to end this finally after about 1,000 takes. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff for more reviews, videos, and everything that's coming on in the future with Xbox One. And I will catch you in the next video. Thank you.